Hey, y'all need a break. Listen to these stories from r/AskReddit. What's one thing your partner doesn't know? My kid had made me a heart-type thing at school and wanted to give it to me. I told him it was great, but that I always get the stuff he makes from school. Instead he should put my girlfriend's name on it because she'll love it. He gave it to her and she melted. She's got it on the fridge and has been showing it off for 2 weeks to friends and family. She keeps saying stuff like, "It was so nice he thought of me and he spelled my name right and he's so sweet," and on and on. It'll just be me and his secret. That most of the times I ask my wife for a hug are when she's feeling down or upset, because she doesn't like to be clingy or needy, so she internalizes and goes quiet. I tell her I need a hug because of one thing or another, so I can comfort her without making her feel like she's inconveniencing me. That I'm over 4 years sober. You think they would have noticed, but when I started going to Alcoholics Anonymous at lunch at work after a hard year of trying and failing, sobriety finally stuck. I had been sober a month and she accused me of being drunk again, and that I was obviously sneaking alcohol, and clearly I was hungover, and that I was a loser who would never get his crap together. I thought, well, I won't say anything and work on myself until even she will notice. So I did. I stayed sober, I got fit, I ran a marathon, I got therapy, I got treatment for what turned out to be adult ADHD that had gone undiagnosed for 51 years, I started antidepressants and generally turned my life around. She never noticed, and I'm regularly accused of being a lousy drunk by her. About every other week or so. I'd say it hurts, but I'm in such a better place now that I truly don't give a crap what a toxic person like that thinks, which makes her even more negative. I've stayed married to her for 26 years, but I don't think I'll make it much farther. She suffers from depression, and when she hits a slump, she feels like laying in bed and doing nothing, even though 99.9% of the time just getting out of bed and doing something, anything will make a dramatic difference in her day. So usually when she hits a slump I'll manufacture some fake emergency that only she can help me solve, like, "Hey babe, I think one of the cats has a scratch on his face but he won't hold still for me to look." Of course, the cat is fine, but I just tricked her into getting out of bed and doing something, and that's always the hardest part. Edit. Didn't expect this to blow up, reading all the replies and crying happy tears. Thanks Reddit strangers. That I have a folder of photos on my computer called Places I Have Found My Wife's Shoes, that is legitimately filled with thousands of pictures of my wife's shoes that are neither in the closet or shoe rack. I started it years ago as a joke and it has gotten out of hand. My husband's birthday is Christmas Eve. Unfortunately his birthday gets forgotten a lot. The first year we were married almost no one remembered, and although he claimed it didn't bother him, I could see that it really did. So now I send out a text first thing on the morning on Christmas Eve, and all everyone to take a moment to wish him a happy birthday, and explicitly stated that no one is to let him know that I've sent out the text. Almost 12 years in, and he hasn't found out. My wife doesn't know her Kindle is connected to my Amazon account and I can see the many alien adult novels she's read. Man, you gotta read some of those and tell her about this weird dream you had. When we were dating she tickled my feet and I acted as if I wasn't ticklish. 13 years later she will tickle them and be amazed I am not ticklish, every time it tickles. I have to hide this forever. My wife is the biggest softie for animals, and we have birds that nest right in a column on our porch. One day a baby bird fell out and she saw. Well, it ended up dying, but I buried it and told her that I saw the mama bird come down and get it. It made her day so much better that I haven't had the heart to tell her it died and probably never will. I also distract her whenever I see roadkill coming up, or tell her it was just a plastic bag or something. That I know our daughter's Reddit account, and that I check in on her regularly. I feel deep, profound guilt about following her, because while I respect her privacy I know that she has significant physical and emotional issues. She's at college out of state, and battles with clinical depression and an unusual and incurable chronic illness, and she really tries not to let onto the world when she's going through a rough patch. She'll make a comment or post something that lets me know that she's feeling crushed or broken, and I'll coincidentally reach out to her the next day and give her an opening to talk about anything that's bothering her. Most of the time it works and she'll vent for a while and feel a little better. Some of the time we just trade pictures of cats. Either way, she knows that she's loved and that someone is thinking of her. If I told my wife about this, she'd blow the whole thing up and, like a bull in a china shop, she'd make it pretty clear that she knew our daughter's account and immediately interject herself into our daughter's life so she could fix everything. I understand that, because my wife is brilliant and protective and only sees the world in black and white. But I also understand that my daughter has to fix her own life, and that she's doing it every day, but that it doesn't hurt to have someone text her out of the blue and tell her a dad joke and try and make her laugh while she's doing it. I wrestle with the idea that I'm simultaneously a bad parent and a bad husband because of this. I've been married for almost 30 years, and this is the only thing I've ever kept from my wife. I hate it, but it's a hole I dug for myself, so I have to sit in it alone. When I shower, she thinks I make an absurdly loud noise when I'm washing my butt. Really, I'm just squeezing water in my palm, but it's much funnier that she thinks it's my butt. Even done this while we were both in there to really get her going. When we watch movies together, we always snack. One of our favorites to munch on during the movie are the Sour Punch bites. She takes all the blue ones because I don't like them and they are her favorite, always says how lucky she is that worked out like that. The blue ones are also my favorite, but she can have them. Whenever we get fast food to go, she enjoys eating the extra fries which have fallen out of their carriage and into the bag. I'm not really sure why she enjoys them so much, but whenever there aren't any, I drop a few down when grabbing my fries secretly and then give her the bag. It's been 8 years. I always grab my fries last and she's never noticed. Holy cow. After all of these comments, I'm definitely getting a burger and fries tonight. He doesn't know just how excited I get when he gets home. I just love being around him. The dogs can hear the garage door open better than I can, so I use them as a sort of notification that he's here. But he also doesn't know how to shut the effing kitchen cabinets. The number of times I've almost brained myself because I stood up and the corner of a door was right above my head is absurd. Very early in the relationship, after the second date, his monitor broke right on Sunday. I knew he was an avid gamer. So I quickly bought a 27-inch monitor on eBay and told him I had that laying around. While he was on the way to me, I power walked through half the town to get it and quickly changed clothes because it was drizzling. He had low income and no money and I didn't want him to feel like he's in my debt. We're over 2 years together now. If he's out of town, I go completely feral for the first 1 or 2 days. Candy for breakfast, falling asleep in the couch, beer with dinner on a weekday, clothes on the floor, recycling bag overflowing. Then I shape up. When he comes back, everything's back to normal. But man, does it feel good to be a sloppy pig sometimes. That I don't need to read aloud. My girlfriend struggles with insomnia, but for some reason when I talk to her late at night, she passes out almost immediately. So whenever I read a book, I read out loud softly under the guise that it helps me focus. It works every time. Edit. Holy crap, thanks for all the awards. I was definitely not expecting this to blow up. Update. She found the post after digging for it. She thought it was super sweet. For a period of time when we were toddlers, he lived directly behind me. He remembers a little girl coming outside like twice. I hate the outdoors, and loves the fact that it was his future wife. He tells the story all of the time. At the age he mentioned, I didn't live there. I was a bit older when we moved in. It was another little girl. Wish I did though. The story makes him so happy, so I will forever be that little girl he saw in her backyard a couple of times when we were 3. Boyfriend has financial struggles, not because of anything he's ever done. His mother is mentally unwell and his father can't work for various reasons. He's been the sole provider for his family since he was a teen, and has to balance his job on top of being the top 5% in his university cohort to maintain 2 scholarships. He had to put his mom in a psychiatric hospital by himself when he was 19. He had no support from relatives except his grandma, who doesn't have an income herself but tries her best. He currently is raising his younger brother and paying rent for the both of them. He acts strong about it, but he gets financial panics very often. In comparison, my family isn't rich, but we're definitely lucky enough to be comfortable. My parents pay my tuition, but I still work part-time, teaching, because I don't get any pocket money and I also enjoy it. I'm a very frugal person though, so a lot of it just gets saved up. So, sometimes I secretly transfer some money into his account. I pretend to borrow his phone and delete the SMS notification off of it. He's never noticed. It's not a lot of money, but I like to think it helps him get a little bit of extra something. Edit. Some people are questioning the validity of this because, if he's poor, wouldn't he check his account more often? Which I understand. But I know him and you don't. He tutors biology and chemistry for the IB diploma. He works both freelance and with an agency. He currently has easily more than 20 students, or even more I think. Most tutoring jobs here pay by the session, except big agencies. Also, a lot of parents prefer to pay differently. Most choose to pay after every lesson, but some pay monthly in advance or at the end of every month. So it's not like most jobs where you definitely get a set amount of money by date XYZ. If you have, for example, $19,373, not USD, much smaller currency, and he's going to remember that he has around $19,000. Obviously it's sauce if I suddenly top up to $20,000, so I do it in small increments. On top of that, because of his job nature, he frequently gets paid payments of around $230 to $500, again, not USD, several times on certain days. Also, the payment platform we both use censors names with asterisks. It's not like he checks the platform anyways because it's just easier to check the SMS, which I can delete. And yes, I also hide physical cash in his backpack. I try to give her the better half of life. If there are 2 pieces of pizza left and 1 piece is burnt, I'll take the burnt one. She gets the good piece. If I'm going to shower and there's 1 normal towel left, I will use a hand rag or something to dry off. She gets the towel. If there's that unwanted end of the bread loaf, I'll make myself a sandwich using that sad end piece. I'll then make her sandwich with the good pieces. I do this all the time for the smallest things. She never knows. I try to make her life better in those small ways. I put no salt into his salt shaker he keeps on his table near his video games. He is notorious for oversalting his food and has high blood pressure. I've been doing this for almost 4 years now. He can't tell the difference. Just how often I check her out. She brags to her friends that I'll check her out 10 times a day. Dearest voluptuous woman, that's how many times I make sure you catch me. I am stealing glances the entire time we share any space. When we worked together, someone kept stealing food from my husband's lunchbox. He started deliberately packing more food. He assumed the person was stealing food because they were hungry and couldn't afford it. I found out who did it. She hated him and was doing it to try to piss him off. I told her if she did it again I would make a big stink of it, but never told him because I didn't want to shatter his illusion that he was doing a nice thing for someone who really needed it. Update: I think I need to fess up tonight and let him know so many people who aren't me think he's a treasure. I may not fit in the house with how big his head is going to get after that though. My wife is prone to nightmares and often whimpers or screams in her sleep when she has one. I can reassure her without waking her and get her to feel safe enough that she makes happy little cooing noises while she's still sound asleep. I've been doing this for her for over 30 years. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments.